drum room. Streaming live, getting our bearings here with the stream setup. It's been a minute. I had to buy another little talkie mic here, and so this is all working. It appears to be working. But feel free to let me know in the comments. My name is Steve Holmes. We're streaming live from Los Angeles. This is my drum room. We do live streams once in a while where we play drums and we talk about drums. And the talking is actually the fun part for me, believe it or not. I mean, the drumming's fun too, but the talking is just as fun in its own way. So feel free to leave a comment. Let me know how it sounds. Let me know how it looks. Let me know if you have any questions. And by all means, feel free to support the stream. There's a little super button down there, a little dollar sign, a little smiley face. You can make a donation, and questions that are presented with donations get priority. So for now, we're just checking out the stream and seeing how many folks show up, and sharing the link to the stream around and doing all that. So you get to watch me look at my laptop for a second. That's what's happening now. So checking out the stream, seeing how it's looking. Seems to be okay. What do folks think? Oh, someone cannot hear me. Okay, Exus says he can't hear me. All right, thank you for the comment, Exus. Let's get that worked out. Okay, you can hear me now. Oh man, I'm already blowing it. There we go. Elaine and Exus, you've saved the stream. No sound. There's sound now. Okay, we're good. We are good. Let me know if you can hear me now. How about now? Can you hear me now? Yes, you can. Okay. See, this is why I love you guys. This is why I love you guys. You're saving it. Hey, Steve, audio seems to be faulty. How about now? How's the sound now? You guys should be able to hear me talking now. Yes, for sure you should be able to hear me talking. Yeah. All right, it's working. So what we're going to do is share the link around so we get some more folks. In. So that's what we're doing. I hope everyone's doing well. I've been away, but now I'm back. Giving the arms a rest. Dealing with real life. You guys know. Real life. The older you get, the more complicated real life gets. But we're still going to drum. The drumming is where it's at. So we're doing that. So I'm just spreading the link around here. So you get to watch me look at my laptop some more. Although it feels like this is causing some lag here. So I think maybe we should just get some drumming going. What do you think? Live. I'm tweeting out the link to the stream. All right, I tweeted out the link. Oh, good. Yes, we hear. Yay, it's fixed. All right, cool. We're gonna get to some drumming in a second. I'm just gonna post the link to the stream around to a few places, so you guys have to watch me look at my laptop later. What sucks is, I like to leave these streams up so we can watch them after the fact, because there's some good discussion in these streams. But if I edit it, if I remove chunks, like boring chunks like this, for example, if I remove a chunk, then the live chat feed goes away, actually, in the video, which kind of sucks. But I guess that's what happens when you're on the bleeding edge. All right, so I'm posting the link to the stream around in a couple different places. And I'm closing this, and I'm closing this, and let's just do some drumming, okay? The YouTube streaming thing is telling me it's not receiving enough bandwidth to get a smooth video. So it's probably because I got Twitter and all these other websites open. All right, but they're closed now, so let's do some drumming. It's been a little while. It's been a little while since I really drummed, and I was going to do a bunch of warming up and stuff before I played for people. But I thought, I thought that I wouldn't do that because, the struggle and the warming up and the trying to find, that drumming sweet spot that I try to get to, that we all try to get to. It's part of the journey. And so I thought, instead of trying to do like a super polished presentation, that I would just not warm up too much, just get drum sounds and then just turn on the stream and we'll see what happens. So I may stumble, I may choke, I may suck, whatever. It's all part of it, right? I don't mind folks seeing that to some degree. But yeah, I'm just going to do some improvising and post those questions. And let's see what happens. All right, my name is Steve Holmes. Thanks for watching. Welcome to the stream. All right. Well, I could still feel my hand, so that's good news. I told you it's been a while. There's a lot of brain farts in there. Pardon me. All right, what's up? My name's Steve Holmes. Thanks for hanging out. And cheers. Welcome to the drum room. Yeah. Man, look at all the folks here. We got a good turnout. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Let's dig into the comics. Let's dig into the comments. Like I said, it's been weeks since I've really hit the shed, and I just wanted to display the rust, and the stick dropping and the fumbling. Like it's hard to get control of the hi-hat, man. Like when I'm playing those grooves where like the hi-hat is really tight, but then I want like a loose kind of sloshy voicing for a phrase, but then go back to the tight thing. It's hard to make that transition seamless, and these little stacks are, they help with that. But a lot of times, like what I hear in my head is not what I'm playing, and man, that's the journey, that's the struggle, right? So welcome. My name's Steve Holmes. Thanks for hanging out. Let's see what folks are saying here. Okay, we started out great because Steve forgot to turn on his talkie mic, but we got that we got that worked out. All right, let's see. Nice to see you from Mexico. Yes, thank you. Ottawa, Canada. Nice, awesome performance, feel, and amazing orchestration. How does one get in touch with such ideas? Says Exus. I guess listening to music helps a bit. So, could you recommend some fresh music that you like, man? I've always wanted to do kind of a really like a proper YouTube video on this kind of thing, I have it worked out in my head, but it would just, a video like that would just be so time consuming, just talking about like, the process, the internal process, which folks really don't talk about, like drummers and stuff. Like nobody talks about the internal process that much. And I guess that makes sense because, from the outside, it just looks like this is what's happening, but this is the finish line. Like the race is in here, this is the finish line, but I mean, man, like what music to listen to? I mean, I'm you're asking like, hey, a lifetime of music that I've been interested in. I mean, it just all kinds, man, like, I went through phases, I went through like, the rock and roll, progressive rock, things that are difficult, and I got into fusion and I got into straight ahead jazz and then like, and then I hit an age where all of a sudden, like all these, like all these ballads from the 80s that I used to hate, like I love now, like you'll probably get more of a reaction, from me for like George Michael's Careless Whisper, than like Chick Corea's Got a Match at this point. But honestly, like it depends, everything has its purpose. And, if you're in the mood for a good horror movie, then the best drama of all time is not going to scratch that itch. You know what I mean? So each thing has its purpose. And I know I'm straying from the topic, and the question was like, hey, like how do you get ideas and listen to music and stuff? And I mean, honestly, like in terms of where I get ideas, it's like listening to drummers, but listening to music too, not just getting into drummers, getting into other musicians, like whatever, find out like why is Jaco Pastorius a big deal? Like what's the deal with Pat Metheny? Why does everyone talk about Michael Brecker? Like each guy, like I would spend, you spend like months and maybe years like checking that stuff out and trying to get it, because guys get to a point where it's like, okay, these guys are obviously living legends, and you might try to get it and get into it, and it may not take right away. But that's okay. That just means that you're just in a place where, it's just not clicking with you because you haven't spent enough time behind the kit to appreciate and sympathize like what the other person did. Like I remember buying like the Gad Gang tape when I was young and still in my like Rush phase, and I didn't get it. I just didn't get it. I didn't listen to it. And it wasn't until later, you know, where I had spent enough time on the kit. And it's funny because that actually leads to an interesting thing with, like, you know, instead of going right to this thing, sometimes you need to go to the things before it, right? Like, it was jazz fusion that brought me to like Miles and bebop and that kind of thing. And had I gone right to the jazz stuff, then maybe I wouldn't have stayed there as long. But I did because of the avenue through which that I got there, you know. So maybe you have to, you know, kind of do the stepping stones before you get to the thing, you know. And after, like, getting into, like, Weckl and Vinny and Steve Smith and these guys, and then seeing, like, Zildjian Day 1984, and then watching Steve Gadd on there, and then all of the sudden you're like, oh, boom, like, you get it. Oh man, and maybe you've played enough and you've done enough gigs to where, you know what it's like to have to make music with other people, and then you know, you watch other guys do it, and you see, finally you see, like, what's special about them, you know. And so that's what I would say. Like, just keep, like, the greats are well known, you know. So just get familiar with them, but not just for drumming, like for all instruments, you know. Explore different genres of music, and just force yourself to really, like, even if you don't like it, try to understand it. You know, I don't like the Beatles, but I understand their significance. You know, I get, like, why they were special and the barriers that they broke, and you know, the context of what the norm was when this thing came out and why this thing changed everything, whether it's Beatles or Hendrix or whatever, Rush or friggin' Gadd and all the guys that we're talking about, you know. And it's interesting now because, you know, there's people out there that are doing that thing now, but you may not hear of them because just of how the industry is and whatever. But you just got to do a little digging, you know, because they're out there, you know. So in terms of, like, honestly, like, drumming ideas, like, I'm just drumming in my head all the time. Like, it never stops. It never stops. Even along to, like, simple pop music, you know. And I'm probably, like, overplaying to stuff in my head. But I'm just drumming in my head all the time. And I can't tell you to start doing that because I never started doing that. Like, it just happens. I can't help it. And I think that counts for, like, mental practice, you know what I mean? I hear stories about, like, professional athletes and, you know, the guys that, like, imagine themselves doing the basketball free throws for a while before they do it and how that helps them. You know, of course it does. Of course, you know. And so that's helped me a lot, you know. So just listening to as much as possible, getting into, you know, not just drummers, but other musicians, you know. And don't like get scattered and, like, just, like, pick one thing and attack it for a while. You know, don't do a bunch of different stuff because you're never going to get any of it. You're just going to feel like you're being productive, but really you're not, you know, because that's a thing. You know, take your time, do it right. There's a lot of beautiful stuff out there. And it can all translate to drumming ideas. How's that? How's that, Exus? Let's see. Well, warmed up, but you must be playing more. Sounds great. Thank you very much for the compliments. Only drumming or also Q&A. Let's see. Get it. Bluzda, bluzda. Yes. Let's see. I would totally throw dollar bills at you like a stripper if I was there live. Well, we are live, and you can throw dollar bills. With the super button, you guys can totally support and donate. With there's a little smiley face and the little dollar sign. You can support the channel. We're trying to get more cameras. We're trying to get a new laptop and just kind of upgrade the whole situation here because there's not a lot. Like, I'm using, like, this old laptop and we're due for an upgrade. So by all means, feel free to support if you're so inclined. And if you're not watching this live, then there should be a little thank you button just if you're watching on YouTube after the fact. And you can support that way. Let's see, what size sticks are you playing with? I'm a subscriber, great channel, Steve. Thank you, Mike Big Easy Rider. Mike Big Easy Rider. Mike Big Easy Rider, I love Vader 5Bs. These are the stick, that's the stick of my choice. And I'm not a Vader artist. I came close, and I probably could be if I you know, pursued that, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I was corresponding with a fellow over there named Chad, and I just never saw it through because honestly, I'm not touring right now or anything, and so I don't really have a need to get boxes and boxes of sticks. But to answer your question, yeah, like Vader 5B, you know, love these sticks. These sticks feel like home. For the time being, it's not to say I wouldn't change to something else later, because that happens, right? Something feels good, and then, you feel like, like you want to kind of end that era, like that's something I find intriguing is these guys that switch, these big endorsement guys, that are spending so much time with like what company A, and then they switch to company B, and these are guys that like tour all the time, and it's like, you kind of need to reset things, and I'm always curious about that process. It's like, okay, I need to just get all new sounds on here because that will influence you to play different things, I think. So there's the answer to that. Let's see. Petter, you're so musical drummer. As far as I understand, it's necessary to have a set like yours to express the way you do. Am I right? No, you're not right. I think a good drummer should be able to sit down at any drum kit and play it well. That's always something I wanted to be able to do, is just play drums well. And so that's not limited to this drum kit, but you want to set up your kit the way that that you're comfortable, and so it's the voice for the things that you want to say, and that goes for the drums and the cymbals. I mean, I love Yamaha drums. I am a Yamaha artist. These are Yamaha Phoenix drums, PHX, except for the snare. This is a Noble and Cooley snare. But I got like 10 and 16 and a 22, and the Yamaha Phoenix line, man, these drums sing they're so resonant, and they're just a little bit louder than everything else that I've heard. These drums really are amazing. And then I've got Zildjian cymbals, and I love all my cymbals. I'm constantly changing stuff around to try to find new and different things. And some of these cymbals are really old. Like this top hi-hat is like mid-'80s. I got the top hi-hat when I was in junior high school, actually, but the bottom is newer. And I can go over like what cymbals they are if folks are interested. Just let me know. Let's see. Butane Elvin. Butane Elvin is the name of a song on a Steve Kahn recording. But yeah, I get the Elvin reference. Let's see, who are the busiest guys in LA right now? Who are the best up-and-comers? I don't know if I'm the best guy to answer that. I mean, I'm definitely watching, and there's guys out there that I'm not aware of. But there's a guy named Gene Coy who is not like, he is an amazing drummer. He works all the time, and I think he should be more well known. Check out Gene Coy. He's a young guy in LA, and he's just constantly working, and he's amazing. So there's one guy. I also love, there's a guy on Instagram named J Scott Drummer, or John Scott Drummer, and I love everything he posts. I actually want to like get in touch with that guy and just like do a Zoom hang with him, and just get what I can from him. Just take a lesson with that guy. I just love his drumming. Let's see, Mike, Big Easy Rider. Single tom versus double toms. Have you played with double toms? You mean like a 5-piece, like an extra tom here? I mean, yes, I did for a long time. I actually played a 5-piece longer than I played a 4-piece. There's the second tom over there. It's a 12, so I used to do 10, 12, 16. I think I have another drum over here. Hold on. Pardon me one moment. Ta-da. Let's see, do I have that other drum? I've got a 10 and a 12 and a 16. And then I've got the old Recording Customs with 3 rack toms on those. But I just got to a point where like I wanted to lower my ride, which is something that happens when you get to a certain age, honestly. And it has to do with the shoulder. I mean, it was interesting. I kind of noticed, like, the younger you are, like, the higher your ride can be. But if you put your hand on your shoulder and you raise your arm up, you can feel like I'm using so much shoulder muscle right now. And the lower your arm goes, the less shoulder muscle you use. And so, having the ride kind of lower like this kind of allows my arm to relax more, basically. Because I'm not 25. So yeah, I wanted to lower this. And I tried like 2 rack toms here for a while, but then I just kind of realized that, I mean, I wanted to be able to output the same kind of my stuff with less. I liked that idea. I wanted to be able to do my thing with less. And removing the tom forced me to kind of rethink, a lot of phrases and licks that are kind of my go-to stuff. And it just, honestly, it just turns the snow globe upside down and forces you to reassess. And I wanted that, and I've been here ever since. And I like it. So that's why I'm doing the 4-piece now. Let's see, single tom, administration, very tasty. Thank you very much. Will Plot says, what's up, Steve? Gush. Yes, the gush. Sorry, these comments are like from 10 minutes ago. I'm like way behind. The gush is like when we do the floor tom and the cymbal together. Let's do a gush, okay? Let's do it. Gosh. There we go. Sorry, I'm still trying to make sure this talkie mic is working correctly. It's a new one. So that's the gush. Let's see. Exo says, drumming in my head since 1993 as well. Yeah, man, it's all about mental practice in addition to the physical practice. For me, let's see. Do the PX drums have longer sustain than per se a Tama Star Classic? Says Bogart Sandoval. Well, I haven't directly compared, this drum to another drum company, but I mean, these drums have a ton of sustain. I can tell you that. I mean, these heads are really old, and so this isn't necessary, and like they're not tuned very well. But man, that thing is still ringing, I mean, I played recording customs for a long time, and the recording customs have their kind of own unique, amazing thing going. But these just feel like they're just kind of going through a preamp, like acoustically, like just no mics, no nothing, just being in the room with these drums, And I love a nice tone, a nice resonant, the doom, like I love that. And the thunderous kind of low, floor toms and the big. This kick is so like, man, there is so much meat on this kit. Like it's just thunderous, It's crazy. What is your simple advice for tuning? Honestly, I kind of take, the same approach for tuning that a lot of guys take that are kind of into this sound, which a lot of it came from like the early Weckl instructional stuff, Back to Basics, etc. Where basically what I'll do is, if I'm starting fresh, I'll have no top head. I'll put the bottom head on, and I'll turn all the lugs to about as tight as I can get them, like just using my finger. And then I'll go and I'll do a pass on tuning until the bottom head kind of has the tone that I want. And then I'll put the top head on, and I'll crank the top head, kind of Simon Phillips style on his bass drum. He does this thing where he puts his head on super tight, and he actually gets on it and jumps on it and stuff. But anyway, it's just like putting it on real tight just to kind of stretch it out, kind of break it in. And so I'll do that, and then I'll get it all back to super loose, and then the top head will be slightly lower than the bottom, basically. The bottom head will be higher than the top. So it's like, doom, doom, like let's see, at the risk of embarrassing myself, like how. Actually, the top head's higher right now. So I could probably do to lower it a little bit. I mean, maybe going a little higher than the top is like what I've been doing, and to get the sound that I have now, and like I'm not even aware of it, because I kind of like the way things sound now, except this thing kind of has a nasty ring kind of overtone thing happening, but that's my fault. I need to put some like tape on here or something. It's like too ringy. So yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do. But the thing with tuning, you guys, is, and this is like something that not a lot of guys do, is you have to know what you want before you start. You have to know what a good sound is. I find that a lot of folks, when they ask like, oh, can you recommend some good music? Like I can't recommend music that you think is good. I can't recommend a drum sound that you think is good. I can tell you the drum sound that I think is good. And if you like the sound of my drums, then I guess we have that same, the same taste, but you have to know what you want before you start, and it doesn't need to be incredibly specific, but you have to at least know what you don't want, so that when you're tuning stuff up, you know, like, nope, 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 that's not it, that's not it. Oh, okay, now we're talking. You know, for a snare, like I like kind of a higher pitch thing that cuts. You know, I want it cracking and cutting and loud, you know, because I play a lot of rim shots. You know, I grew up playing rock and roll, you guys, and so my thing is kind of like, you know, I'm kind of coming from a loud place to begin with, you know, when I'm on my own. You know, if the gig requires you to be quiet, then obviously you got to be quiet. So, yeah, that's my take on tuning. Remo heads, clear ambassador on bottom, coated ambassador on top currently. And this bass drum is like, it almost doesn't matter what's on it. Right now there's a Power Stroke 3. It's actually clear with a black dot. But yeah, you got to know what you want, you know, before you start. And if you're not sure what sounds you like, then, you know, just check out other guys and see, find a guys whose drum sound you like, and then try to, you know, step one is like emulate a thing. And then once you can do that, you're like, okay, I have this drum sound that I like. And now you want to try to, like, over time kind of make it your own and that kind of thing. So I hope that helps. Who asked about tuning? Let's see, thank you. Oh, Sam. Sam asked about tuning. Butane Elvin, Public Access, yes. Steve Kahn, Public Access with Weckl and Anthony Jackson and Manola Bandanena on percussion. Man, love that record so much. Mama Chola, there's a tune on there that's like, oh man, there's a perfect drum sound. Let's see, Will Plout, sorry if I'm not saying that correctly. Steve, would you say that independence between hands and feet is a hurdle that you overcome, and once you are over it, you've got it, or was your experience different? No, I would say that's exactly right, Will. I would say that it's a hurdle that you overcome. But man, it's so valuable, and you have to do it. You have to do it, especially if you're going to get into jazz drumming. I mean, I guess if you're not into jazz and you're only going to play rock and pop, you could probably get away with never practicing independence, but you're only limiting yourself, you know? Like when I was young and I realized through Peter Erskine's Everything is Timekeeping Part 1 on VHS, like when I realized that on the right hand you have to go like ding, ding, a ding, ding, a ding, and then you chick 2 and 4 with your left foot, ding, chick, a ding, chick, a ding, and then you have to read a bunch of stuff with your left hand without stopping that just blew me away. And once you decide to do that, I mean, there's no way you can do that without confronting your basic lack of independence that we all start with. But man, once you get the ability to do ding a ding a ding ding a ding with this hand and be able to play whatever you want with this hand and with your foot, that doesn't just apply to jazz, you guys. That applies to a ton of stuff, and it just opens doors and frees up your mind and lets you relax a little bit more because your brain's not like in this locked seatbelt, you know, mode. It's like it's free, and it just independent. Like getting good independence is so helpful. So yes, that was my experience too. Bert Call, man, what kind of ride do you have? That's a great question, Bert. I love my ride cymbal. This is the best ride ever. This is a 20-inch K Custom Dry Light. K Custom Dry Light from Zildjian, 20-inch. This was a gift from my friend Sam Watson, who is also an amazing drummer. And back before the internet, like in the early 90s, mid 90s, you know, what us drummers would do on weekends is we would go to Guitar Center and take turns, like, you know, bothering the employees by playing on their drums and checking out different cymbals. And the cymbal was there, and every weekend we loved it and played it. And one day he just bought it for me. I'll never forget. He gave it to me, and he said, keep swinging. And that meant a lot to me. It still means a lot to me because everyone always asks me about this ride cymbal because this thing is so versatile, man. Like on other streams I've talked about, like, you know, like getting the most out of your ride cymbal, you know, like the tip on the outside, you know, the shoulder next to the bell, the shoulder on the bell, you know, and doing all those things like with the bass drum at the same time, doing all those things like without the bass drum underneath, you know, like let me just do a quick demonstration of that because that's important even though we've done that before. But part of the reason why I like this ride is because it sings and sounds great in all modes. Some rides are not like that. This ride sounds great in every style if you play it right. So there you go. Different modes, right? Like tip, shoulder, bell, straight ahead, you know, halftime straight ahead. It's a great ride. 20-inch K custom dry light. Let's see. Next question. See, I got a Yamaha Stage custom bop kit at home, and I love it. Yeah, man. Honestly, I've never heard a Yamaha kit that I didn't like, and they almost tune themselves. You know, my friends and I used to joke about that, you know, because I've been to Yamaha several times, like checking out different kits, and you just throw a head out and start, and it's like, doom, it's like, boom, done. You know, those drums sing. Let's see, compared to recording custom to an O custom, how loud is the PHX? I have not spent a lot of time with the O custom, but I could safely bet that the PHX is louder than both of them. PHX is the top one, man. But you got to try out different lines and see which ones you like. I haven't spent a lot of time with the O custom, but I have played them, and they sound great. You know, it's just that the PHX drums are like the Yamaha thing on steroids. If you like the Yamaha thing, and like you want it on steroid, like this, like with the extra, it's like the Superman version. It's nuts. Let's see. Daniel posted a message and then retracted it. I'm curious what you said, Daniel. Let's see. Mayons1424 says, "You the man, Steve. Thank you very much." Jam, I play lots of Latin jazz and church and independence and coordination. Yes, while playing Latin and jazz, you're definitely going to have that stuff happening. And church gigs can be fun. Let's see, question sort of related to independence on filling over the bar line. Do you have any tips for developing this capability? Oh man, that's a good topic. Filling over the bar line. For those that may not be familiar with filling over the bar line, yeah, I mean, you have to really have like good, solid internal time to do that, and you have to know, you have to not just solid time, but like you have to have that internal quarter note. You have to have that 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You have to have that like inside of you, and you have to have the ability to just play whatever you want, and you never lose what count you're on. So that goes to das to das to das to das to das to das to check out 1, that is to radas to that to and check out the 3 to 4 check out that to that 1 and check out that is das to that to check out to stick it 3 to 4 to 1, right? You want to be able to just improvise and never lose where that 1 is. And the reason why that is because, like, if you talk about going over the bar line, and like the simplest way to answer that is like when you play a fill towards the end of the bar, or the whole bar, whatever. The point is like when you get to count 3 and you get to count 4, traditionally what you would do is you would play a big crash on the count of 1 and start playing your groove again, right? But going over the bar line means, no, my fill is going to continue through the count of 4 and into the count of 1, and maybe further, 2 and 3 and 4, whatever. But the point is it doesn't end on 1. It continues to go, wait for it, over the bar line. So I guess I could try to play like just a simple example of that. You know, Mick Fleetwood actually does that on a couple songs that I always thought was really cool. You know, I want to say "Hold Me" or something. There's one song where he'll play a fill, and going into the verse, he'll just kind of keep going. So if you have a fill that's like, like the classic rock fill, like 1, 2, zat do stegadoom, right? If you're like, right? If you're doing that like basic rock fill, the over the bar line version of that would be to just keep it going, right? So instead of like zat doon degadoon, it's like dat doon stegadoo stegadoo ba, and then you come out like zat, like 1, 2, zat doon degadoo stegadoo 2, 3, 4, It's good to like sing it first, right? So I won't get lost. It's really zat doon stegadoo stegadoo cha 4, 1, 2, 3, right? So you're like, so that second bar, you're basically doing this 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? But basically that comes after, right? That's the second part. The first part is that simple fill. So it's like zat doon degadoon cha, right? Degadoon cha, right? So put it together. It's like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1. Right, so that's a simple example of going over the bar line, right? And so if you want, like, you gotta know where 1 is, because if you just listen for the symbol, you're gonna get lost, because the symbol is not where 1 is anymore. The symbol's on 2 actually, which can be tricky. Like I would say that's a little tricky. You know, you really got to know where 1 is so you don't get lost. Like having that internal quarter note, man, it's just so important. You know, and I can remember for years and years. You know, all in the 90s, like I moved to LA in 93. I just went to every show I could at all these jazz clubs, all these guys that I was into. Anyone, like Weckl, Erskine, like anyone. I would just go to these shows, and over time, I would get lost listening less and less, because I got more familiar with how all the different subdivisions sound and how different phrasing sounds to the quarter note. And when you listen to stuff, you get lost until you understand what it is and until you can do it, and then you don't get lost. And over time, like I got lost less and less because I was able to play more and more stuff, you know, because I was practicing an awful lot back then, you know. And I started to, like, you know, work out different polyrhythms and, you know, eighth note triples in groups of 4 and groups of 2 and like 5 against 2 and blah, 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 you know, and internalizing the quarter note, but not just the pulse, but the counts, right? And so when you go over the bar line and you hear, you know, that 1 is part of the fill, then you won't get lost. And so that's how you do the over the bar line stuff, you know. And that stuff helps, you know, when you're just, you know, improvising and you know, you're doing like extended phrasing and stuff, you know. Like I always know where 1 is, and I try to play in 4-bar groupings or 8-bar groupings, blah blah blah, like within reason. You know, like I don't stay there the whole time. You know, you go off on different tangents and whatever, blah blah blah. But that's my take on going over the bar line. That's a simple example. That's my explanation. Okay. Does anyone have any examples of songs that go over the bar line? I'm curious. Let's see. That was for who asked that question? Filling over the bar. Oh, SJF98. There you go. That was for you. Okay, so Tuvu says, if you start out learning drum solo, do you recommend writing things down until you have enough experience just to improvise on the spot? If you start out learning a drum solo. Well, I mean, I like sitting down and improvising on the drums. Like I've been doing it for years and years and years. Hey, I say Matthias is here, you guys. Check out his channel. Matthias Nor, sorry. He's an amazing drummer. Hello, Matthias. Thank you for hanging out, buddy. Started learning a drum solo. Do you recommend writing? I think writing stuff out, I mean, if you're good at transcribing, and if you can watch a drum solo and you can transcribe stuff, that's definitely going to help you, because visually seeing where notes fall in relation to the quarter note is tremendously helpful, because they could be, like, you could have a note that's like right before the downbeat or right after the downbeat, and maybe it's a 16th before or a 16th note triplet after, and that's a world of difference, you know, in terms of like what that musical statement sounds like. It's a world of difference. And so transcribing stuff can be helpful. I did not transcribe drum solos and memorize them. I didn't see the point in doing that. If there was a certain lick, or if there was like one part of a drum solo, I was like, man, what is that? Then I would like attack that part. But I would never like, okay, here's 8 bars of a solo that someone did. Let me play it like note for note. Like I see guys on YouTube do that, and like, oh, here's the intro from this friggin', song that Vinny played on, and here's the first 4 bars. Like I've never done that, because I don't want to recite what someone else has said. I want to say my own thing, and so what I do is I watch people that speak the language that I want to speak, and it helps me learn the language so I can speak. I don't want to recite what someone else is saying. And so that's kind of my approach. And so that means not playing other people's drum solos note for note. Although I did that when I was young. Like I would play Neil Peart drum solos note for note to the best I could, because that's what you do when you're young. And if you're young, person asking this question, then that's fine. You know, I mean, I guess I should clarify, like learning a song, you know, learning a song note for note I think is beneficial, totally. But learning a drum solo note for note, not so much. Not so much. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Let's see, I've always loved the sound of your ride. Thank you very much. Pablo Swanson, I love your name, Pablo Swanson. I love the 22s. Let's see, Pablo Swanson, I love the 22 bounce ride. Constantinople, but really versatile. Yeah, man, I've got one of those. Straight up, I've got a Constantinople over there. Maybe next stream I'll break it out. But I went to Zildjian a couple years ago, and you know, they're just throwing up different rides for me and stuff. And this was like the orphan ride that like no one wanted, and I was like, oh my God, this thing sounds amazing. And I almost want to go get it, but maybe we'll do that next stream. But yeah, I'm glad I found it. I love those rides too. Let's see, Matthias. Yeah, the PHX sound amazing. Dude, Matthias, you guys, his drums sound amazing too. He's got like the perfect drum sound. Sledgehammer 1, Elvin's over the bar fill at the start of 3 Can Molly is delish. I'll just agree. Let's see. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Steve. Always great to hear your playing and thoughts and lessons. Yeah, man. It's all about drumming. So I see we're done with the questions. We still have some folks here. So I guess I'll do some more playing. You know what? I thought I would actually try something different. Instead of just improvising, I thought I would actually pick something and talk about it. How novel. There was one sticking, and I actually have a video about this on my channel. And so for those of you that have seen this already, apologies. But there's one sticking that I find to be really helpful. And it applies to, you can play it kind of slow, you can play it fast. It sounds real, I think it sounds super cool when it's played in a certain way. And it's also good for warming up physically, because the way that I do it, it kind of forces me to play all over the place. And it's basically like what I was taught to be like drags or roughs, basically. The gist is like you could play this over, I'll just play it over triplets, then I'll play over 16ths, and you can hear like where I'm going. So I'll demonstrate it sounding like kind of cool in what I think sounds cool, and then I'll talk about it. So if you don't like how this sounds, then sorry. So just pretend this is like the beginning of a YouTube video, and that's like the demo at the beginning. But yeah, you can hear like the slow version of it, which is like, it's right on the downbeat, right? Like das, da das, da das, da das, das, da da. And then there's playing it over top of 16ths and accenting the dotted eighth, actually, which is 4/3, right? So it's like bas ba das 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 ba, right? But the orchestration that I like is like putting a cymbal before a snare. So it's like pshtat, 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 right? So let's go over the sticking. The simple, like on the downbeat version, like if you play it over triplets, right? Like you're doubling the middle triplet, right? So if we don't double anything, right? Like forget about the double. The accent is like, it's the first triplet and it's the third triplet, right? But because we're playing in triplets, the hands actually alter, right? So it's like 1, 2, 3, right, left, right, left, left. triplets. Right, that's step one, like getting comfortable playing those accents. And understanding the phrase, right? Like 3, 4, ba, 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 right? And a good way to practice that is like play it over shuffle, because you're accenting like the shuffle thing, like this, da, 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 you know. Right, eighth note triplets, accenting the third and the first. All right, that's what I'm doing. When you're comfortable with that, you double the middle one. You double the one that you're not accenting. So instead of dot, 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 it's dot, digga, dot, dot, digga, dot, dot, digga, dot, dot, right? And that digga is a double, right? And again, because we're playing in triplets, that double is going to alternate from left to right to left to right, right? Let's see, is there something particular you're working on mastering these days? Okay, sorry. So yeah, the middle triplet gets doubled, right? So right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. That's the sticking over triplets. You got to keep the triplets going. Da, 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 da. And keep those accents going. Ba, 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 right? Right, so once you could do that, then the accents are yours to play with. The accents are yours to do whatever you want with. This is where the fun starts. And so I remember the day that I had this idea where it's like, okay, it was the ba, 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 then why can't we just go like cymbal, snare, like pstat, 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 right? Like I thought that would sound cool, you know? And so and it might help to, like once you start introducing the cymbals, it might help to not put the double in, you know, like just get that physical motion in, you know. And if you're starting on the downbeat, and this is the part that I didn't mention in my YouTube video, I kind of regretted after the fact, and my friend pointed out to me, like, dude, like, how do you start this? This is how you start it, right? Because it was like, what does it sound like? Like ba 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 ba, right? Bas ba 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 ba. So that ba 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 is actually right, right, left. That might be helpful. Is like start with the big downbeat so you know where one is. Right, so let me turn off the talkie mic and get loud with this and show it to you a little bit more. So that's the slow like triplet version, and at the end I switched over to 16ths. And the good news is when you want to put this over 16ths, it's the same thing. It's the same sticking, it's the same concept, except that the accents are now changing to a completely different phrase, right? So instead of like over top of triplets like bas, ba, bas, ba, bas, ba, ba, it's bus ba bus ba bus ba bus ba ba bus ba bus ba bus ba bus ba ba, right? And I have to end it. If you want to keep it contained to like a 1 bar phrase, you have to cut it off, because if you keep going, you're going to go over the bar line like we were talking about before, right? And how many bars a phrase will take to resolve back to 1 depends on how many notes you're accenting. If you're accenting every 3rd, 16th, it's going to take 3 bars to resolve. If you're accenting every 5th, 16th, it's going to take 5 bars to resolve, etc. So if you were to keep this phrase going, if you start in the downbeat, it's going to take 3 bars to resolve, and we don't want to play this for 3 bars. So I just want to get out like after 1 bar, right? So it's like bas ba bas ba bas ba bas ba bas ba ba 2, 3, 4 bas ba bas ba bas ba bas ba bas sugar ba, right? So I kind of get out early. I like eject, right? So starting with the same process we did with the triplets, but just doing it over 16th notes, right? So no doubles, just the accent, right? Just hand-to-hand 16th notes we're doing, right? Simple enough, right? But again, like putting the symbol before the as the first, because I see these of groups of 2, like 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And so those groups of 2, I'm just doing like cymbal snare, but because of the hands alternate, you have to alternate, and so that's why I said earlier, like this really makes you move around the kit, and it's good to get warm and loose. I mean, this rudiment's good to help warm up physically, right? No doubles. 1, 2, start bringing in the crashes, you really got to start moving, right? So I'll play that a little faster, and then I'll start introducing the doubles, okay? But it starts like all things. It just starts with a very simple phrase, and it's just all about the accents. Bas, ba, dash, ba, dash, ba, dash, ba, da, right? But then your limbs go flying, and it sounds super fast, and people are like, oh my God, what's that? You know what it is? It's bas, ba, dash, ba, dash, ba, dash, ba, da. That's what it is. My elbow is starting to get mad at me. So I think that sounds really cool once you start putting the hands on the toms. Like stum, 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 sta, like I just think that sounds cool, and it kind of has the benefit of looking cool too, but this is a good example of one of those things that's simple to start with, but when you get to the final step, it's deceptive. It's deceptive to figure out if you don't know what it is when you see someone only do it fast. You're like, man, what the heck is that, And I remember connecting the dots with this. There was when my generation before the internet and blah, 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 there was a documentary that they did on Sting called Bring on the Night, when he first went solo and he left the Police and he put out a record called Dream of the Blue Turtles. And he hired all these like jazz and jazz fusion guys for his band. And the drummer was Omar Hakim. And his work with Sting like put Omar Hakim on the map pretty much, because he played amazing with Sting. And there's a lot of footage of Omar in that movie. It's a whole movie. If folks haven't seen Bring on the Night, I definitely recommend it. But there was one shot of Omar where they play a tune and, it's the end of the tune and they're just doing the end of the tune stuff. They're going crazy. And he actually kind of does that thing where he's like, stop, 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 stop. And it just, kind of the flowing movement of it just looked amazing. And we were all like, what is that? And then when I, was working on this and then kind of like, hey, this is that thing that Omar does. At least I think it is. I could be wrong. Anyway, Omar Hakim, Bring on the Night. And I guess if I'm going to talk about that, I should mention there's a tune on there called I Burn For You, where Omar takes a solo at the end that's just fire. And even young Steve, I remember watching it and being like, geez, can Neil Peart do that? I don't think so. Oh, man. Look, we didn't have the internet, all right? We just watched whatever was on, and we did the best we could, okay? Wow. Anyways, so yeah, that's it, like roughs and drags, like taking groups of 3, accenting the first and the third. And I also wanted to mention, like, I made it a point to start really clearly, like, on the downbeat. Like, ba, ba, bash, ba, bash, ba, bash, ba, ba, bash, ba, like, start, like, right on the downbeat. But the final step for me was actually, like, playing the note before the downbeat, like, ba, 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 bash, ba, bash, ba, ba, like, so 1, 2, 3, 4. As opposed to so I kind of brought that pickup note. Well, look who it is, folks. Will Evertson. I know Will from the houseofdrumming.com forums. He's been on there for years and years and years, man, and him and I have hung out at different gatherings and stuff, and he's always kept us updated, like on his on big moves he made in his life. And so all of us on that forum were like, oh, you guys, Will's moving to the East Coast, and oh man, Will got married, and oh, Will's singing and playing in gigs and getting jobs and living his life, and it's fun watching the journey. Will, how are you? I'll wait patiently while you answer. Just kidding, I'm not going to wait, but I will read your answer. Yeah, good to see you, Will. And I went to a party at Will's house, Will's apartment, years and years ago, actually. And he gave me a recording of Vinny with the Emile Richards Big Band. That was cool, but the quality was really bad, actually. Give a shout out to our new baby, Theo. Oh man, Theo, do not become a drummer. Learn how to code. Cheers, Theo. All right, so either no one cares about my drag sticking thing, or nobody has any questions, or nobody is watching, because there's no questions about that. And I'm going to assume that you all can do it really well, okay? So there's your little lesson. I guess I am actually going to just do a little bit more playing, a little more improvising, and then we'll probably call it, because we've been on for a little over an hour. Yeah, well, I'm glad you're doing well, brother. I'm glad you're still around doing your thing. I hope you're still playing. Someone touched up the recording for me. Oh, nice. Well, send me that, dude. Send me links. Put that shit up on SoundCloud. SoundCloud it, dude. Send me links. All right? All right. I'm going to turn off the talkie mic, and I'm just going to kind of do some more improvising. My name's Steve Holmes. Feel free to click the smiley face of the little $sign and support the channel. All right? Thanks for hanging out, folks. Like my little cheesy theme at the end there. Whatever. All right. I'm going to call it. Thanks for hanging out, you guys. My name's Steve Holmes. We're streaming live from Los Angeles at my drum room, actually. Good times. If anyone's interested in lessons, like on Zoom or something, you can drop me an email, steveholmes@gmail.com. Or if you're in the LA area and the pandemic isn't out of hand, we can mask up and do like an in-person thing. Drop me an email, steveholmes@gmail.com. Anyone interested in supporting the channel, really appreciate it. You can click on the super, the little $sign there. Or if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, there should be a little button that says thanks, and you can actually make a donation. And yeah, all that will go towards the Steve Holmes Drum Room Fund, cameras and mics and stuff to get better like angles on what we're doing. So thanks for watching me struggle. Thanks for watching me, you know, the peaks and valleys of the journey of drumming, trying to say the stuff that we want to say. That's it. Until next time, I have no idea when that will be, unfortunately. I'm Steve Holmes. Thanks for watching.